out on the vast, windswept plains of Nebraska, something strange rises from the fields. At first glance, it looks like an ancient mystical ruin, a circle of hulking gray structures. Some standing tall, others balanced to form massive arches. But instead of giant stones, this monument is built from classic American cars from the 50s and 60s, all coated in gray spray paint to mimic the look of stone. Some cars are planted 5 feet deep in the ground, while others are welded on top to create those iconic Stonehenge arches. Even the famous Heelstone has a counterpart, a 1962 Cadillac. At the gathering after the funeral, the family was talking about what they could do for a memorial. The family loved it, and they promised to meet up in 5 years to make it happen. Sure enough, in June of 1987, about 35 members of the Reinders clan came together for a family reunion unlike any other. Let's be honest, it's a strange sight. Some locals in Alliance thought it was an eyesore. One neighbor even built her house at an angle just to avoid looking at it. It's a monument not just to one man, but to family, creativity, and the simple joy of building something together. If you know of another landmark with a surprising and heartfelt story behind it, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. But over time, things changed. The oddity in the field slowly became a point of pride. It just goes to show that a memorial doesn't need to be made of somber stone to be meaningful. Sometimes it can be built from vintage cars, a whole lot of hard work, and the enduring power of family. It's proof that the best stories often come with a wonderful touch of weirdness. Today, Carhenge is a huge tourist attraction, pulling in tens of thousands of visitors every year and giving the small town a welcome economic boost. For a whole week, they worked side by side, digging pits, hoisting cars, and welding them into place. They dedicated the finished monument on the summer solstice, just like the original Stonehenge, celebrating with songs, poems, and even a play the family wrote. That's when Jim's light bulb went off. Every single buried car and welded arch was built as a loving tribute to the family patriarch, Herman Reinders. Jim convinced his relatives to pour their grief and love into a project that was both deeply personal and wonderfully weird. He saw cars as the modern-day equivalent of those ancient stones. They were easy to find in Nebraska and had a similar shape. So, on the very land their father had farmed, the Reinders family built a monument made not of rock, but of the steel and chrome that defined 20th century America. It was the perfect blend of their farming heritage, American car culture, and an ancient wonder. He pitched a truly wild idea. What if they built a replica of Stonehenge, right there on the farmland his father had worked? But as you get closer, you realize these aren't stones. It has even grown over the years, with other car-based sculptures joining it to form the Car Art Reserve. They're cars, 9 vintage American automobiles, all buried trunk first in the dirt. This isn't some bizarre junkyard. It's an exact 2-scale replica of England's Stonehenge. And the story of why it's here, in a field north of Alliance, Nebraska, is a tale of love, family, and some truly incredible creativity. They call it Carhenge, and for good reason. It stands in a 96-foot diameter circle, perfectly matching the proportions of its ancient British counterpart. Now, this isn't just some random art project that popped up overnight. It was carefully planned and built with a very specific purpose in mind. The whole thing was the idea of one man, Jim Reinders, who was inspired by a wonder of the ancient world he saw while living thousands of miles away. During his time there, he became completely fascinated with Stonehenge. He studied its design, its scale, and its mysterious astronomical alignments. That image of massive stones on the Salisbury Plain really stuck with him. And the reason he chose this specific patch of land in rural Nebraska? Well, that's the key to the entire story. Jim Reinders was an engineer who spent several years living and working in England. Years later, in 1982, tragedy struck when Jim's father passed away. But instead of stone, they'd use a symbol of American ingenuity and culture, the automobile. So, what might look like just another quirky roadside attraction is actually one of the most unique family memorials ever created. At first, not everyone was a fan. The site was initially cared for by a group called the Friends of Carhenge, before being gifted to the city of Alliance, cementing its place as a beloved public landmark. Carhenge is a powerful reminder that the most meaningful tributes can come in the most unexpected packages. From a son's heartfelt promise to a week-long family project, Carhenge has gone from a controversial oddity to an internationally recognized icon.